start recording. Okay, so now whatever we discussed in the last session related to the project, that what we have taken as an example for the waterfall model, the same we are going to implement, like how the same project is going to have the process of Agile. So now we will see the principles of Agile here, like the simple way of understanding here. I'm not mentioning in detail about the principle statement here. I am just giving the keyword here, like we have the incremental process, continuous development, and client interaction. And then we can say like deliverables in chunks. I can say it as a chunks, and then project status is visible. That status is visible. And where we can also have one more advantage of using this one is we will always allow change requests, which are nothing but here we'll mention like it is a change in the requirements. Okay. And then, okay, let's, for the time being, let's keep this one as simple here. So now we have the six principles of Agile. So what is the first one is the incremental process. So incremental process is nothing but whatever the requirements that we have collected for the project. So we are delivering them not at a single time. We are taking one of the requirement or one of the submodule from the project, and we are preparing, working on the requirements. And once the requirements for the particular submodule is completed, then it will be moved to the development phase. That is, the developers will be start working on the submodule, that what we can say the requirements are completed. And when the developers are working in the submodule one, then the BA or the product owner will start working on the requirements for the submodule two. Say here we can say like this is the project, and we have the, let's split into submodule one and then submodule two. And before, let's say like our project as of now, it is having four submodules. And then we have done the planning for this project where we thought like for the submodule one is supposed to go live, or we are releasing that project. Okay, again, see, in the waterfall model, what we did is like the entire modules or the requirements that what we have for the project. Say we have, so let us say these are the total requirements. So now when we follow the waterfall model, what we need to do is until and unless all these submodules are completed, then we are releasing the project at a single phase. So we don't have subsequent or any frequent releases planned for this one. So we are delivering the entire project in only a single phase. So which includes all the submodules developed into the application. Now the same what we are doing here is, let us say like the submodule one is about, it talks about the web application, and then the submodule 2, it talks about, and then we have the submodule which is uh, LMS, and then EAMS, and let's see the final. Okay, so now we have divided the project into submodules here, and for each submodule, we have a planning, so which we call it as a project roadmap. So remember these technical words here, project roadmap. So what does the project roadmap is going to define here? In the project roadmap, we will have what are the different submodules or the different requirements, or we can say it as like different features involved in the project. So for this project, we will make sure that this, say, if this is my submodule one, say I like the submodule one, its requirements should be completed by, I'll mention the date as something like 10:30. And then I'll say like my SM submodule 2 requirements is going to complete by, say, again, 11:05, or we can see, yeah, it is a symbol. And then the submodule 3, we have the requirements phase, which is going to complete by, say, 11:15. And for the EMS module, it is the submodule 4 where the requirements are going to complete by 11:30. So if you see here, by the end of November, I have planned, I mean, in the project roadmap, I have planned the requirement phase in such a way like that all the submodules requirements will be completed by the month of November. So now, after the requirement phase, we have the development phase. So now, when the development phase of the submodule 1 is going to start, say, once I say like the requirements will be completed by 10th, say I can say like it will be starting by November 1st. And if it is November 1st, then these requirements is, I said like it should be completed by November 5th. So the development should start by November 6th. And I have mentioned like the requirements for this is going to complete by November 15. Let's assume like this will take uh, by 14th, they are going to start work on the requirements, and by 11:30 they will complete the LMS module, and by December 15 they will complete the development phase. These are the just tentative dates I am giving just to understand like how the project roadmap is going to be planned. So we have the requirements phase, dates are given. We have the development phase, dates are given for the respective submodules. And we have the QA phase. Let's assume like once the development phase is completed, say the QA is going to start working from November 15th. And then let's put it something like 11:30. And this they will start at 12 December 10. And then let's say the testing is going to complete by end of December. Okay, so now I have the testing phase also defined here. And now how I'm going to plan the releases. So instead of delivering all the product at a single time, what I have planned here is like I am going to deliver the project in the form of a submodules where the client can able to see the development of the project, and he can also able to give us the feedback, or we can also change say like there are improvements needed. So release planned. Okay, so now I'll also mention one more phase here, which is UAT. UAT phase, which is nothing but I'll mention it as user acceptance testing. This will be done by the, always remember when we talk about, when there is a word specified about UAT, it should be handled by the business. So like once the testing team, they have completed their testing and then the project, they say like this submodule is ready for UAT testing. Now, this particular, whatever the requirement module that we have developed, that will be deployed into the UAT server where the end users, or we can also say it like the users who are using the application from the client side, will be accessing the submod application, and we will they will test the whatever the requirements that we have developed. And I'll say here, when I say like let's say the acceptance testing will start by November 17th, and then they will continue till uh, the sub module 2. They have to start the testing by, and here I'll say like 12/20, and here I'll mention like 01/15. So for the submodule 1, what will be the release date? So I'm saying like by 11/17, the submodule 1 will be completing the UAT phase and it will be available in the production. So I'm giving the 2 days for the deployment activities. I'm planned for the submodule release should happen in the month of November 19th. And similarly, 24. And here I'll take some time and I'll plan to release it by Jan. So if you see here, so this is what we have defined it as a project roadmap. So what comes in project roadmap here is like we are planning the submodules that what we have planned in the project, and their completion start date and end dates in the each phase, like when the requirements is going to start for this submodule, and when the development is going to start, and when the development is completed, then what will be the start date of the QA. And once if the QA provides the sign off for QA is completed, then where when the business users or the UAT phase will come into the picture. And once the UAT testing is done, then we will be having the release plan here. So this release is only for this submodule. We can say it as a like 11/19 like, release for submodule 1. So similarly here, when we say like 12, it's 12/4. This is for, you can say like this is the release for submodule 2. And say this is for release plan for submodule 3. And now we have the submodule 4 release. This is submodule 4 here. So when we have all these releases planned here, then we will be having a final one, which we'll be calling it as a go live. So here what we need to do here is like they need to integrate all the submodules here. Like we can say it as the go live should be a combination of submodule 1 plus submodule 2 plus submodule 3 plus submodule 4. So this is the final project which we are going to call it as a go live. So I'll also mention here as like final release. So in this final release, what they will do is like whatever the releases they have planned individually for the submodules one, they will integrate all the submodules, and finally they are going to release it as a one project which is called as a go live phase. So if you see here in the agile process, so the client can able to see the submodule one which is going to be released in the month of November 19th. So he can go through like whatever the requirements that he provided on the submodule one, and he can see like how the development is coming has come into the picture. He can able to see what are the changes that we need to implement or that are recommended from the business, and he can able to give us like these are the changes that what he is expecting to have in the submodule one. Or he can also provide like the UI design is not meeting the expectations. He wants to add some more rich UI design features. So all these are like the feedback or the improvements of submodule one. So now the client will get the impression like, okay, my project is started, and for my project, they have created the website and they have created the UI design for the web pages, and they have started working on designing the screens. So this is what he's going to get the impression in the month of November 19 on the current project. So similarly, when we have the release plan for the submodule 2, so here this release of submodule 2 will be having again, I'll mentioning here, release of submodule will be submodule 2 is, I will say like release 2 is, we will be planning to release the submodule 2 plus CRs of submodule 1. It's nothing but when we have released this to the client, saying like the first submodule is released, so the client will access this particular features that what we have developed. So he will provide some changes here. So whatever the changes we receive here for the submodule one, we need to implement or we need to complete the development for that when we are going to have the release 2. So the release 2 is the combination of submodule 2 what we have planned as per the project roadmap, and plus, in addition to that, we are also delivering the change request or the feedback that the client has provided on the submodule 1. Similarly, if you go for the release 3, so in release 3, what we are planning here, so it should have the submodule 3, which is the default module what we have planned, and then here it should combine the CRs of submodule 2 plus then the CRs of if anything that we are not able to deliver in the second release, which are related to the changes for the submodule 1, that will be released in the release 3. So the release 3 is the combination of the submodule 3 plus any changes or improvements that has been given in the submodule 2 plus this whatever the feedbacks that we have implemented or we are not yet completed the development in the change request for the submodule 1 that we are planning to deliver in the submodule 3. And final the release 4 should have the default module which is submodule 4. And in addition to that, we are going to have the CRs of submodule 3 plus the CRs of submodule 2 and then the CRs of submodule 1. So this will be the final release, which what we are going to deliver in the release 4. We have the submodule 4, which is already the planned one. And in addition to this, whatever the change requests or that we have come across for the submodule 3, plus whatever the change requests that we are unable to deliver in the release 3, that we are adding for the release 2. And similarly, whatever the items that we have meant for missed in the release. So we can also say it like in order to get the like release 2 plus release 1. So anything that are missed in the earlier release, like whatever we are unable to deliver in the release 3, or so we are going to deliver them in the next release, which is the release 4. So now if you see here this particular process that how we have planned, so whatever the requirements that are planned for this project, which is the submodule 1, we are delivering that requirements. And in addition to that, we are delivering the requirements from the submodule 2, which is as per the planned date. Plus, in addition to this default release, we are also releasing the requirements, or we can also say like the improvements or the any change requirements that has been suggested from the client on the submodule 1. So if you see here for the final release, which is the submodule 4, in the release 4, we won't be having any items that need to deliver for the project because we are delivering the default modules that has been planned. And in addition to this, we are also delivering whatever the change requests that are coming for the submodule 1 and whatever the change requests that are coming for the submodule 2 and submodule 1 when we have the release 3. And when we have the release 4, we are delivering the submodule module 4 plus along with the change requests or any changes needed to implement in the requirements for the submodule 2, submodule 3, and submodule 1. So here when you have the go live or the final release, we won't be having any of the change requests that, I mean, what we can say like we don't need to accept any of the change requests related to this project because all the change requests or any of the improvements we are already developed in the respective releases. So this is how we can say it like the project roadmap will be defined in Agile. Again, I'm saying like it is high level. So now we have mm, let's put the project title here. Internet. So is it clear till now? Any questions related to this Agile methodology of defining the roadmap? And again, I'll mention one more point here. While designing the roadmap, so who are the persons involved here is the product manager and then the client or what in the business or the stakeholders. And then we have the delivery manager, and we have the IT operations chief. So these are all the people who are involved in designing the roadmap. Then you can say like as what will be the role of a BA or the PO as he don't have any idea or he's not involved actively in designing the roadmap. But here, what does the BA or the PO should know here is they need to have the complete vision of the roadmap. So BA or PO, they need to have product vision defined, which is nothing but where we are going to get this product vision with the help of product roadmap. We are going to see whatever the different submodules that we are planned for the subsequent releases. So then only we are can able to see the product vision. So this is the area where the BA or PO will be coming into the picture. And now we'll have one more important process here. So as we said, like these are all the six principles of Agile. So if you see here, the first one is the incremental process. So if you see the development that how we have planned here for this one, so it is an incremental approach. Like at the first step, we are delivering the website, and the second step we are adding the submodule. In the third step, we are adding the submodule 3. So it is nothing but we are adding step by step on the project layers. And the second one, if you see here, it is the continuous development. So if you see here, say when I say that the requirements for the submodule 1 is completed, now the development team will be coming into the picture. And say in the when the development team is working on the submodule 1, the BA will be working on the requirements for the submodule 2. When the BA is working on the submodule 2, the dev and the QA will be occupied in the development or implementing the functionality for the requirements related to submodule 1 and 3. And say when the development has been started for the submodule 2, now the QA team will be started working on the testing phase. So this is how, like we can say it is like the continuous development. So we can say like the project or the release is not stopped on developing certain feature or certain module. It is the ongoing process here. And the second principle is like we have client interaction. So as I mentioned, like if you go for the release here, for the release 2, so we mentioned like we will be releasing the submodule 1 to the client. So the client will be accessing or using our requirements which we are delivered in the submodule 1. And here in the release 2, we will be getting the feedback from the client. That is, the client is involved from the early stage of the development of the project. So he is involved in the starting phase, which is nothing but the designing in the of the web application or designing of the website or the design of the UI, the pages or the screens. So he is involved at the UI design of the screens or in the website development itself. So where we can get the requirement change requests or any improvements that need to be added or any feedback from the client. So which says like the team is interacting with the client for every frequent releases. So it means like we will be having the client interaction continuously, not like we have collected all the requirements for the complete entire submodules from the client. So then after completing the all the submodules for, then we are releasing it into the final release. So that is not the way here the Agile is saying, like they will be having the client interaction continuously, and we have the deliverables in chunks. So deliverables in the chunks is like, so we have split the project into 4 submodules, and we are delivering the project in the form of a chunks here, in the form of pieces. Like for the first release, we will be having the submodule 1. For the second release, we will be having the submodule 2. Plus, in addition to the, we are adding any of the change requests or any improvements that need to be done for the submodule 1. So here we are delivering the project not at a single phase, we are delivering in the form of a chunks here. And the fifth principle is, we are saying like the project status is visible. So now if anyone asks about our project, like what is the status of your project, now it is pretty much clear. Like we can easily say like the submodule 2 has been released into the QA phase, where the QA will be working on the testing phase here. I mean, in the testing process of submodule 2. And we can say like what will be the status. Like we can also mention like, yeah, the submodule 1 is in now in UAT phase, where the business is testing on the requirements for the submodule 1. And then the sixth principle is always allow change requests, which are nothing but the change in requirements. So if you see, I think the session is going to end in 1 minute. So let's rejoin with the same link, and we will see, conclude all the 6 principles of the Agile here, and then how the change requirements will be accepting. And we will also see like what are the different process that the Agile methodology is going to support. So just after 1 minute, please join the session again here.